that?
I think the audio's muted, it looks like, or sounds like.
Whose audio?
Everyone's.
Oh no.
Oh, are you sure?
That's what they're saying in chat, and I can't hear anything on the stream either.
It's saying that it's transmitting for me.
Okay. Sounds like it's on now.
Are we good?
Just
I hear it. Yeah, I hear
Yep.
it.
All right.
So
Cool.
none of that got through then, huh?
Sorry.
All right. Well,
as is tradition.
as
Yes.
is tradition, everyone should be expecting.
Right.
Now.
If we start off a session perfectly, then it's going to be
Yeah.
a bad session. That's just how
Yeah.
it works.
Or the end times is upon us. One or the other.
Well then, let's try that again. Welcome everybody to our new bi-weekly Tuesday stream, The Disastronauts. It is a space game set in the Starfinder universe using the Starfinder system. The long and short of my spiel from earlier is I've never really ran a space game before, sci-fi game. Not really my forte. So I've looked for a way when I was asked by people who are very interested in this genre of game to run one. I tried desperately to find a way to take my fantasy and mix it with science fiction, and Starfinder is the perfect system for that.
It's like Reese's.
It
Yeah.
really is. You got your peanut butter and my chocolate.
Right. You got your space in my fantasy.
Exactly. But I won't delve too far into the nitty gritty of that, other than it is very much a space fantasy game and not a strictly sci-fi. So it's more akin to Star Wars than it is to Star Trek. That being said, we're going to be running in the established Starfinder setting, the Pact Worlds, which that will be introduced as the game is played out. But it is a galactic civilization spanning an entire galaxy known as the Pact Worlds, in which there are potentially countless thousands, millions of planets, some more prominent than others. But in this setting is where our game, The Disastronauts, takes place, where technology and magic collide. Essentially, if you think D&D or Pathfinder, the generic fantasy, what if that civilization survived into the space age? And that's what we're getting here. So there are elves and dwarves and space goblins, as well as classes and societies that mix technology, faster than light travel, with the ability to cast spells. So it's literally D&D in space. And that being said, this is our game. Our players are coming in here. We got Mr. Kyron, Mr. Eric, and Mr. John playing their respective characters as employees of this dystopian space corporation known as the Evgenia Jameson Corporation, or more colloquially known EJ Corp or Edge Corp.
Because
or
no one
as-
wants to pronounce their actual name.
Right. No.
Yeah. Or as some people who are employed by the company would call it, the company. And we have our characters here, who I will let you introduce yourselves in whatever order you wish. I think probably thematically we should start with Arnot, but Eric, if you want to talk about your character a bit.
Sure. Yeah. I guess I'll get the whole code name or whatever, but yeah. So my character is Dolly E615-R0, who is I believe the concept is that he's sort of like a lab-bred pilot type individual. Is kind of born to fly a shuttle for the Edge Corp, and is effectively like a space elf of some variety. He goes by Arnot, as the last letters of his moniker is R0, and he oh shit, video dropped out.
No, I got it. I just hit the wrong button.
Cool. And he is able to kind of on some like Blue People avatar stuff connect with the ship on a like mental
Sexual
slash
level.
magical slash sexual level. Um, obviously that one. That's a given though. And yeah, so he has some basic magic and technological manipulation powers at his disposal.
And he has been working for EdgeCorp his entire life, or since he's been able to reach legal piloting age, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Grew him in a vat.
All right. So excellent. I guess in order of operations here, really we should go with Mark II next.
Right.
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember.
In legality, you know.
Yeah, right. Legality. I am playing Mark II 150619. I was just a simple like whatever not combat, but
Cargo.
cargo.
bot.
Yeah, loading cargo, loading robot that was one of thousands that the company used before I was mysteriously given consciousness by the oversoul of all knowledge and technology, giving me strange powers and the ability to quote Marcus Aurelius at whim.
A lot.
A lot. It's a
My
lot of
favorite
Marcus
part.
Aurelius going on.
Superpower.
I don't know where this knowledge or my newfound consciousness came from, and I'm just here trying to exist and freaking out my crewmates with my strange insights and behaviors.
That's pretty accurate, yeah.
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 So as the second quote unquote member of the crew, you are not you're not an official member of the crew, but you are EdgeCorp property. The official second member of the crew is Caesar, which I think we should introduce Caesar first.
Right. So Caesar is a combat droid, and he's had an interesting past that he doesn't really exist. That managed to get himself and his controller on board the ship and as a part of EdgeCorp's corporatocracy. But in reality, Caesar is not an artificial intelligence. He is just a robot controlled by my actual character, Aster, who is a space goblin, who has done some shady shit in his past and would not have been able to get a job were it not for his facsimile, Caesar.
Yep.
Aster is, again, a space goblin who is an albino. He is...
Motherfucking albino space goblin.
He is an albino base goblin, yes. When I can speak, of course. He was a space pirate originally, and he was too smart for his own good. Being smart in a space goblin colony is basically a means of getting murdered quickly because the captain, quote unquote, sees you as a threat. So he had to pretend to be dumb. He had to hide his abilities as an engineer. But he's built everything, including his cybernetics, including Caesar, and he's trying his goddamn best not to be tattled on by Mark and Arnot that he's been a stowaway on their ship for like a few weeks.
And speaking of the ship, it really could be considered a character in its own right.
Yeah.
Because our intrepid band of delivery boys,
Right.
Quote unquote, yeah.
working for EdgeCorp, they
Allegedly.
allegedly, yeah. They can't. No one really here can afford their own spaceship. But luckily, EdgeCorp, much like Amazon and any other great delivery service, provides means of transportation for you, and that comes in the form of the light space freighter BD-514, which
AKA the Greyhound.
the Greyhound.
Yep.
It is massive. It is sluggish. It is built for safety and not speed, with some dubious parts and components and compartments installed. BD-514 is a means of travel. It is not the greatest, but it is used by this crew to make deliveries for their parent company, which is in the life of the Pact Worlds, life as an independent trader or one who deals with companies who do delivery is not an easy one. On paper, the career seems simple. You get a ship, you get a crew, You get cargo, you get paid. But in reality, nothing ever really goes as planned. Your starships break down. You might get into a firefight with some space pirates.
Your fucking berries go bad, man.
Berries go
Right?
bad.
Our berries go horrible.
Or a journey through the drift turns out to be more dangerous than expected. And the drift, we should talk about, is real quick. It is a pretty pivotal component of the Pact World system. It is essentially an extra dimensional plane, to use D&D terms, that was discovered a couple centuries ago, that allows for faster than light travel through the drift. Ships can make incredible journeys, and is what has connected the Pact Worlds together. The Pact World system as a whole has only really been a collective unit for about 300 years, galactic, so to speak, and is relatively new, especially like due to drift. Companies like EdgeCorp grew to prominence by exploiting the ability of the drift, and quickly grew to massive proportions, with EdgeCorp easily being the largest.
If you like
And
40K, it's the warp.
Right.
yeah. And so our intrepid crew finds themselves as employees of EdgeCorp, doing a thankless job that for people who only know you as a number. These jobs typically are delivery jobs. You go to a place, you pick something up, you take it to another place, you drop it off, the contract is completed, and you make your commission pay. As long as everything goes according to plan, and as depending on the size of the payment, your stipend goes up. But some things go wrong, as our band of adventurers here, so to speak, our employees of EdgeCorp, found out recently in our little prologue experience, to get everybody familiar with the system. And we'll go over that very briefly. The long and short of it, our characters, our players here, Dolly, or Arnot, and Aster and Mark, were commissioned a job to a nearby planet that they happened to be near at the start of the adventure of Castrovel, to pick up some berries and deliver it to another planet to a company called Caw Imports, and upon delivery get paid. For the most part, the pickup went off without a hitch. There were a little bit of an altercation with a small goblin gang on Castrovel that resulted in some berries being taken.
My
But
brothers.
but ultimately, they got to the arrival, the destination, only to find that the company they were bringing the berries to no longer existed. They got bought out the day before. Terrible coincidence. Caw Imports was no longer around and was bought out by a company called Ichihara Holdings, who originally had no interest in honoring the contract, but through some shrewd business negotiations and some pleading on the ends, especially I think I was Aster who managed to do the convincing.
Yeah.
The representative for Ichihara Holdings agreed to buy the contract, but in doing so, wrote out the supplier, so the supplier did not get paid, and you ultimately got less in your payment due to the contract, which originally you guys were going to be awarded 2,000 credits for the delivery of this order. Unfortunately, you're new, and as we're getting into the session, as your payment comes through, it has been reduced to 500. But that is the life of an employee of the Evgenia Jameson Corporation.
You know, the company got a better deal out of it, though. So
That is
it
true.
was a success, really.
Right.
I mean, 500 compared to no 100, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, with all that out of the way, we will begin tonight's session as the three of you, after just completing your delivery to the now Ichihara Holdings on Akiton, arriving. Well, you went through the drift. I think it was. I think you on your roll. It was a 4-day travel through the drift.
Yep.
I want to say.
Yep.
So, was there anything that the three of you wanted to do in those 3 days of downtime?
Aster would likely be working on the cargo bot that they fought off when the goblins tried to steal their berries, which is a fun sentence to string together. in retrospect.
Right?
But we ended up, and by we, I mean these two, ended up killing a cargo bot that was working with the space goblins, and I took its body. And I've probably been trying to make repairs to it, maybe do anything I can to have another cargo bot aboard.
Right. And luckily, go ahead and give me a mechanics check.
Do you mean engineering?
Is it engineering? Yeah, sure.
Ooh.
I'm good at
Engineering
that.
will work. This is going to be a series of rolls, not right away.
17.
17.
With a precursor, we'll take that roll there to be your evaluation of what you currently have.
repairs?
And the cargo bot, the junk bot, I'm sorry, was, if you recall, pretty heavily damaged. Some of its inner components have been severed through the piercing of it was a knife or a dagger that you had there.
Yeah, sword.
A sword, a sword.
Knife,
so there,
dagger, sword, it's all the same.
there are some hoses and some electrical components that need to be repaired. Go ahead and make me a computers check.
Okay. Also good at that. Not as good as I thought. It's
Okay.
a 13.
Ooh.
So the
Roughly.
onboard intelligence, there are some electrical components that were fried during the encounter. All of this, you feel you could easily. This is hobby for you. Can be fixed out. It will take some time, more than the 4 days that you have currently in the drift, and will take components that you would either have to scour from the ship or wait till you get to Absalom Station.
Okay. And the other thing is, I want to take its fingers, and I
Mhm.
want to use the ones that are not damaged for my own cybernetic hand.
Easily enough. No roll needed for that. You have the tools you need to take apart droids. It's something that you do on the daily. So yeah, you can easily remove his fingers and replace the ones.
Okay, perfect. Because he only had 3. It's been, he
I
needs
was
a
gonna
little
ask if it was like, was he short, or does he just think
bit.
he needs an
Technically
upgrade?
and
or-
literally, yes.
A plus.
Aster is like 4 feet tall.
Right. So that really would only take up probably a day of your time down. If there's anything else you wanted to do.
While these guys are doing stuff, I would like to be email scamming people still.
Okay, we'll get back to that.
I forgot about that.
Mark is going to be meditating, and the way that he meditates is he's going to unstack everything in the hold and restack it a foot over, while repeating the mantra, "Soon I will have forgotten everything, and everything will have forgotten me."
Okay.
Roll
Yeah.
introspection.
And this you're spending the entire time doing this?
Yes.
4
yes.
days.
Yep, 4
Okay.
days. I'm a
So,
robot, so I can do that.
So unless anyone has any interactions with Mark II,
Yes, that's
alright,
what I
we'll
will
keep-
be doing.
Not other
Alright,
than
and-
like awkward, like watching on from afar.
The onboard camera in the cockpit.
Yeah.
Tune in every now and again next
He's
to like a
still
football
doing
game.
it. Yeah.
No, I think Arnot watches Buffy the Space Vampires.
Of course.
I insert that into every sci-fi
Every
campaign I play.
single
So. Believe he's switching back and forth between that and like trying to think what Space Days of Our Lives.
Space Dawson's Creek.
Oh man.
Space Dawson's Creek is pretty Dawson's Space Creek, I think.
Right.
Space Creek. What an interesting
Space
concept.
Creek. What a concept. Yeah.
I want to go to the world where that's based on.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, then
But
for the
mostly
most
sitting
part,
in the pilot's chair and watching various terrible TV shows. I
yeah.
think
And
is how Arnot's
speaking of
based.
sitting in the pilot's chair, you have the view of the drift as you're traveling through it, which is something you're very familiar with. It's something you go through almost on the regular, on the daily. The drift is this extra dimensional space. There's no stars in the drift. It's actually kind of like a purplish void, very hazy, kind of almost like a tunnel, so to speak, with like purple haze on the making the cylinder up. What you will occasionally see sitting in the pilot seat as you're drifting, as I say it, and what you know about the drift or what you've been told is there is drift debris, and that's
Uh-oh.
really where your expertise comes in as someone trained to drive pilot through the drift. Um, the drift is from what scientists say about it, is uh, basically eating the galaxy at a very slow pace. Planets, stars, things get overtaken by the drift and get broken up, and that's the debris that you see. So occasionally you'll see chunks of planets, asteroids, very, very, very often derelict spaceships. But go ahead and that being said, go ahead and give me a piloting check.
Okey-doke.
Nat 1. And that's the campaign, folks.
Great campaign, everyone.
Yeah. Woo!
All right.
Tune in
Not
next
go.
week.
It did go. Woof. Not a great roll still.
No,
12.
still, we've not rolled over 10 yet. So, we're doing well.
Fantastic.
Doing well tonight, guys.
So with that 12, sitting there in the pilot seat, this is you're heading into your second day of travel through the drift. You get an alert on your sensor that there has been contact. You don't hear it from where you're at, but you do get an little alert anytime you run into something. Something runs into you. What you can tell so far is that nothing seems to be affected. There's no damage. You pull up the Tarn and get a damage report. No outside damage whatsoever. It was just alerting you that you've had contact. Something that happens every now and
Okay. He'll just like dismiss the alert that comes up. I imagine like in a picture-in-picture situation with
Yeah.
whatever garbage show he's watching.
Covering
at
the
moment.
show, and you're like, fuck
And
off.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever, Yeah, and then double check with Arnold, make sure the AI has not determined that there's any ongoing problem. I guess, as we progress here,
Right.
he'll check back in every, so often to make
Okay.
sure nothing's developing there. But I imagine that that's not super, you're saying it's not super uncommon.
Yeah.
He's probably just like, oh, shit, whoops. And
Yep. So you do give the command to Darnold. I forgot your name, man.
That's right. Yeah, he calls the computer Tarnold because
Yes.
it's his only friend for a very long time until Mark, gained
Yeah.
sentience and we added Caesar to the crew. He was alone on this vessel for a while.
So you give the order to Tarnold. Who's, very well. I shall begin evaluation and diagnostics, and you get a little timer that pops up.
Sean Connery.
I love it.
But you get typically a diagnostics of the entire ship takes about 15-20 minutes. But in the meantime, nothing else going on other than you notice about 10 minutes into the diagnostic check, the computer panels start to flicker. Your overhead lights get a little dim, blink on and off. And you notice you get some power fluctuations in your drift core.
He reflexively flips on the like yellow alert equivalent, like ship-wide warning to like stand by, because I think that's like, in the company bylaws that like, or so, it's like if there's any issue, I imagine he's trying to follow the exact ridiculous, nonsensical procedure he would have followed when nobody else was on the ship.
Absolutely.
even.
Go ahead and give me a engineering check.
Sure. Yeah, 10
18.
at least.
It's about this time as you're looking at the lights flicker and your panels flicker and you're seeing the fluctuations that Tarnold is completing the diagnostics, and you come to the realization just as he comes back, basically saying the same thing, that these fluctuations that you're seeing is probably occurring to something that has attached to the outside of the ship and is draining the power.
Oh, dicks. Gentlemen, we may have some company here aboard the ship. And we have a consistent power drain occurring. Do I have like an area of the ship that's being directly affected, or is it just in general?
It's on the upper hull, of the outside hull.
Yep. Top side of the outer hull, it appears.
You hear 2 knocks from above you before a vent opens up. And Aster looks down. So is this like a big
Holy
problem?
shit.
Like, oh yeah, I mean, I've been up here. I've been trying to watch over your shoulder a little bit.
Mark's
It's one of my favorite episodes. What are you talking about?
Mark's gonna come in to the pilot room and say, "Blot out imagination, restrain impulse, stifle desire, and give reason the upper hand, Arnot.
He's still doing that thing. I've been trying to work on his circuitry, but all he does is fucking just keep spieling all this weird old shit. I don't know what's going on with him.
The
But
sinner
more-
sins against himself.
Right.
Uh-huh.
I
that's-
did do that.
Right.
Uh,
Well, here's the thing. I believe that there is some sort of, like, I suppose, proactive action, or I guess reactive action at this point that we should be taking. And he'd probably dig around for some company binder.
Well, at this point, all three of you, because I think all three of you have proficiency in computers. I could be
Mhm.
wrong.
No, I do not.
You do not. Okay, well
No.
then the two of you,
well, he is
Aster.
computers.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, but I think in
doesn't-
this case, you won't have the bonus roll. But you are kind of tied into the ship's system.
All right. Should I make a computer roll?
Go ahead, make it. I won't hold you.
Oops. I am failing. Okay, there we go. Oh,
All right.
all right.
You all
well,
got
We
above a
all
20.
know exactly what's happening.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beep beep.
Immediately, all three of you pull out a data pad, and looking it over, Arnot hits a button, and on each of your data pads, the ship's outside cameras come on, and you can see that there, on the upper hull on the top, there are half a dozen small creatures that are attached to it. They look very much like leeches or worms, so to speak. If you want to make what would be a drift knowledge check?
Physical science?
Culture?
Yeah.
Religion?
Well, you can make I think life science is one that you can do. And in the case of Arnot, you could do piloting.
Okay.
As someone who's
I
been to
will.
the drift a lot.
Culture, you said, would be okay.
I said
I
that.
think I said life science.
Life science. Okay, cool. I'm
I
proficient
rolled
in
a
that
1.
too.
Solid.
Yeah.
All right, I get
Uh,
12.
Yeah. Do you, Aster, Mark II? These are fucking. These are
Yeah, I
leeches.
think we have rift herpes. I don't know what's going on.
Dolly, Arnot, you know these. They are. I mean, they are leeches. They are driftwitches. These are pretty common creatures that actually survive and thrive in the drift, and they live on energy. And currently, they are draining your power.
Oh, piss. We've got some drift leeches. Fairly common risk of traveling out in the extra planar, dimensions and such, but something we ought to take a closer look at, I believe.
Drift leeches reproduce through a process called budding, whereas one leech splits into many different buds, and then each bud grows into an adult leech over the course of 3 to 4 months. Earth time.
There's a lot of things that in this life that we lead, people don't want to know about. That's like top 10 for me. I don't need to know the reproductive cycle of really anything. I don't need that. Personally.
Please hold.
Right.
Look, he's not.
okay.
At least he's not trying to tell me how much time I have until I starve again.
Yeah, he's
or
been
die
telling
from
me a
exposure.
lot.
No, but I will be informing you that you are at now 45% power.
That
Estimated time
right.
before power drain complete, 35 minutes.
Thank you, Donald.
Does this hunk of junk have shields on it?
No, I
No.
assume. That sounds too fancy for the
The
Greyhound.
BD-514 is not equipped with shields.
After a
Right.
quick survey of 1,486,384 different surveys of people determining what they would most likely not want to learn, I have determined that the budding cycle of the drift leeches is not present in the top 100 things.
Can you
Among the
manually
top
go in
10
there and change that? Like put those up at least top 100. That's I think that tier list could use a little work.
We could use him to host a game of Space Family Feud.
That's cheating, and I like it. Nevertheless, it seems like we actually have a problem here.
Right, yes.
Do you know what regulation is for this sort of thing?
He keeps flipping through the binder that he's probably found for like mechanics protocols. I'm sure he has some idea, but he'd want to make sure that he does the officially sanctioned.
Yeah, and this is actually something that is that you actually finding that you have drift leeches is kind of a bummer to you because
Oh,
even
Face
though
bummer.
you are an excellent pilot, once they attach to a
Quite
ship,
good.
the leeches can't be shaken off.
Dicks.
They're pretty bedded in there. And company policy, and from your own experience, what you know about drift leeches, typically someone has to put on a suit and go outside and pry them off.
How dangerous is that in the drift?
It can be dangerous, especially when you have debris around.
Any more so than regular space, I guess.
Nah, as long as you don't get unattached. Yeah.
Right, yeah. That's a real risk with regular space too, though. Okay. He'd say, yeah, well, someone's going to have to. I mean, honestly, my reflex would be to put out another dish of milk for this ship ferries, but I'm not certain that that's exactly the most immediate solution that we can
I
come
really
across.
would not like any more milk. I'm honestly thinking I'm lactose
Are you
intolerant.
still taking those?
Well,
I've
I
explained
don't-
specifically that they are not for you.
Yeah, I apologize to all ferries that might be in and or around this compartment of the ship.
doing
However,
a detailed scan now. Please hold.
okay, while he's looking for ferries and you're leaving milk around, I could send Caesar out there, see if he can take these things to Pound Town, and I ain't talking sexually.
I was going to suggest perhaps one of the life forms which do not rely upon oxygen might make for good, operatives as far as the removal operation is concerned.
Right. My last captain used to throw goblins at it until they went away. They didn't have spacesuits.
I'm not sure that that's exactly a, company. No, sorry, subsection C here. They do mention the tossing of goblins. If
Yeah,
available.
they write that into everything these days. I actually
It's
think
true.
it's kind of racist.
I've found that language in quite a few regulations. See if I can talk here.
There are no ferries aboard the BD 852.
Not that you can sense, but obviously they'd be able to hide themselves from. Anyway, this is beside the point. Let's get Caesar set up and ready to rock out there. What do you think?
I will climb out of the vent and fall to the ground.
Do you just yank them off or something? Is that the general procedure?
Just a general
more or
idea.
less? Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Do you
phrased
have
it
like
differently,
Yeah, don't bring that up with the Pound Town reference. I mean,
but- right? It's not.
it
not
coincides
great.
too much.
Yeah, the synergy there.
Synergy. So do you got like a tow line or something like that I can hook onto his belt or whatever?
I imagine that wouldn't be like a crazy. That seems like it'd be a standard piece of equipment. Yeah,
It is. It is included on the ship, and
absolutely.
there are actually, as part of a standard layout for a BD unit, you do have anti-grav boots that will allow you to walk onto the hull itself.
Like Zelda.
Kind of like Zelda, yeah. Now these may have to be. You might just make some quick modifications for them to fit on Caesar, but it's something you're easily able to do. Within a few moments, 5 minutes or so, Caesar is set up and attached to a lifeline, and you are at the. Yeah. So, what would you like to do?
So I'm going to, as is my general
Airlock.
approach to everything. Why are you vampiric? What are you
Killing
doing?
me over there. It's a Sith Lord.
I
Great.
looked up for a second. I was like, "What the fuck?"
It's been going on for
Yeah.
a minute or so.
Okay,
A little bit. Yeah, it's good.
I'm happy it lasted long enough to go past like being boring and back into interesting. Like, so as he is wont to do, Aster will set up his hammock in the cockpit. He will likely put the pegs in where he has drilled holes into the wall. He's drilled holes in a lot of spots on the ship, so he could set his hammock up. I don't know if Arnot has noticed, but likely he has. He'll
And he
lay
hates it.
back. Of course he does.
He
He'll
didn't
lay
file
back
the
on
forms
his
for that modification.
stolen pillow from a bed on ship, and he will take remote control of Aster of Caesar.
Okay.
and he will prepare to exit.
All right. So, yep, you get Caesar in the airlock. You get everything set up, and doors open, and you begin piloting Caesar out onto the hull.
Asterisks. Asterisk.
Yeah. What's going on?
When facing whatever happens outside your control, be calm.
He'll look look to Arnot. That makes sense in this context. He's learning. Like that's a good one.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot more prescient sometimes. It's actually like a little unsettling from time to time when he's, he'll make like a really deep and probing statement, and then I end up like thinking about myself as like a human or whatever, sort of like as a being and quality of that and all that.
Well, I mean, it's backfired before. You remember that lady told that her husband was super dead and that like mortality was some sort of instrument, like.
Well, I mean, he likely could be dead and no longer suffering. I think that was the argument at the time. And, well, a fair one, perhaps. I mean,
The cosmic cause is an onrushing flood that carries all before it.
See, now we're spanning out into the weird again. Like, now it's weird. Now it's all of a sudden weird again. I don't... And he's going to put one of his earbuds in. And the other earbud, you hear very, like, modern-day smooth jazz.
Like elevator music.
Right. It's basically elevator music, but in this current time, we believe it to be classics.
Right.
So, putting your earbud back in and turning your attention back to the control of Caesar, go ahead and I will let you make the determination here yourself. Either an athletics or an acrobatics check. Either he is using his strength to get him in position or his dexterity.
So for him, it looks like athletics would be better because he has his own character sheet, funnily enough. So I will give you an athletics.
Okay.
That's not great. That is a 9.
All right. So as Caesar is making his way out and stomping down the hole, at this point you see a large chunk of rock just coming, like, bang him on the side of the head. He is now loose from the ship.
Okay. Remembering what Mark said and thinking calmly, Aster will, as afraid as he's ever been, very quickly try to scurry his way, controlling Caesar, along the tow line back toward the ship.
All right,
like
this would be
rope climbing, basically.
All right, this is an acrobatics.
And,
how's a 7?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, here's a drift leech.
Poor Caesar.
You
lose
begin
my
pulling
fucking
yourself
combat
forward. You
droid
see
again?
Caesar, he's like pulling his... Aster Rix is now very, very much in the zone, and like the music you're zoned in, you're focused on the controls. Caesar's moving forward, and then all of a sudden, the rope goes limp a bit, and the crank, the area we had the rope pulling out from the ship, it gets loose from the weight of Caesar, and it's like a fishing reel gone limp. Caesar begins drifting further out into the drift.
Oh, dicks.
Wait, is the rope detached?
No, it's still attached, but it's quickly unraveling. Caesar is losing distance.
It's like
Okay.
getting reeled out.
I will. I'm going to unholster his Gulch gun, which is a shotgun, and I want to fire it behind him.
All right.
Yeah.
It has heavy kick too.
It does. And with that quick thinking, with one hand still on the rope, holding on, the other hand, Caesar reaches back, pulls out his Gulch gun, turns his body a bit, and starts firing. And with each pulse, you see him like jerk back closer and closer towards the ship. Eventually, he gets close enough to grab a hold onto a rung and is now kind of like dangling on.
Woohoo!
Nice done.
Aster will look up quickly. Can you get me some milk? Or do you have anything stronger, like alcohol content wise? Like,
There's perhaps some old milk. Does that count?
nah, never mind. He puts the earbud back in.
Many of the things that trouble you are easily disposed of, for they are all in your mind. Instead dwelling on them in such cramped quarters, why not inhabit spacious chambers?
He's right. You could move, you know, I mean, you've moved out of the secret chamber there, the sort of hideaway cargo bit. He's onto something with that one as well.
I
Talking to you while you're like, yeah, you're better.
He's nodding, same as Caesar's nod protocol.
At this point, Caesar regains traction with his anti-grav boots and returns to an upright position. Now, with that little bit of debris out of the way, he makes his way over towards the pool of drift leeches. It's going to take a few minutes, but given the strength he already has and the tools at his disposal, whether through the gun or to a melee means, he can, for about 5 minutes or so, when the leeches only have like hit point.
He's probably stomping on them with the grab.
He goes through and just stomps on each individual one, and you can see this through Caesar's cameras. About 5, 7, 8 minutes later, the last leech is dispatched. You see the flickering of the lights in the panels of the ship fade out, and everything gets more stable. Tarnold on the display comes up and shows ship's power is slowly returning back to its normal capacity.
He'll slowly take his earbuds off.
It seems as if we will not be joining the cosmic consciousness today. This is a moment for quiet recollection.
Yep, and for pulling up the external ship cams of the impact, the moment where Caesar got hit with that rock. Oh my god. And he's like playing the like dunk, 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 like looping.
Very funny.
Speaking of, Caesar has taken 5 points of damage from the hit, and there is a bit of a dent in his head, but nothing you can't repair.
You see him like huddled over the little control device that he has, basically like he's playing an old Nintendo. He's like, "Come to Papa, come on back. I'll fix you right up. Don't you worry. That's all gonna be okay."
Everything is the same. Experience is banal, time is fleeting, and matter is corrupt.
Huh.
I'm never gonna get used to it. I'm gonna go take care of Caesar. You talk to him for a minute.
Best of luck with that. And you get a like alert as he sent you like a video, like short video message, looping like gif.
The door opens. He turns around and stares at you for 3 seconds.
You should
and then
have.
shakes his head and walks
You
away.
should have captioned that with "You rock."
Bust up.
Aster
or not just dies.
runs
I
back
snap
in
that.
quickly. Wait, did he just make a joke? Hold on a second.
He
One
did.
second.
It was like pretty funny too.
I don't like today. It's going too well. I don't like it. And he just leaves.
All right. With that short encounter with the drift leeches out of the way, the remainder of your time in the drift is relatively stable. The next 2 days passed. You were able to repair the little bit of damage that Caesar took. There luckily was no damage to the hull. The leeches typically don't do damage; they just drain power. And about midway through the second day, Tarnold comes on display and says, "We will be departing from the drift in approximately 5 minutes at Absalom Station."
Excellent. And then he'll like set out the various board warranted, you know, like we're leaving warp messages to all members of the crew, and then like do a PA announcement probably as well.
Aster laying in his hammock right behind you.
Yep.
You didn't need to send me one. Like
Actually,
I heard
do.
him.
It's, you know, the requirement. And look, it's not, I don't write company policy. I just, you know, it's sort of my purpose for being to fulfill it.
I mean, technically, I'm not really part of the crew, so you can exclude me from
If
those.
you keep
like
saying that, or you let Mark hear you say that, he may throw you over.
that would.
Also, I might be obligated to report you to the proper authorities.
What I
if
meant
you're
to
not
say,
considered the same person or entity which was hired on as Caesar.
I'm very happy that I subscribed to your newsletter, and I'm gonna keep accepting all these because really,
Excellent.
Vagrancy isn't exactly my strong suit.
Right. I've filled out all the cockpit modification forms that you and various other ship signed modification forms that you've required with your amendments.
Well, if you wouldn't have
Various-
taken the company card away from me, I would have had like at least 3 rockets on the side by now, you know.
That's not an okay
We
purchase.
don't need
can't-
someone to come out and install them. I can do it myself.
That is, you're not a certified mechanic who's able to work on, the Edge Corp machinery or vessels, as near as I can tell.
I want
Caesar is.
I want to
Points
pull
over.
out my comm unit, and I want to send him my list of all of my fake accommodations for being different things.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Washing
And-
machine repairman is also on there.
And it is quite an impressive list. It looks, all of them look very legitimate. It seems Aster is well trained and qualified to repair and fix a lot of things.
Well, I mean, there still are very many forms for any sort of ship modification, as it is leased to us from the company. But it does seem here that you have, toaster repair, quite a bit of kitchen appliance work, actually, it seems.
Yeah, they don't even make toasters anymore. I don't know. I don't know why people fall everyone's falling for that one. That really big bird that I got. The lady with the dishwasher didn't even have a dishwasher. The lady didn't have a kitchen, but she paid well.
Amazing.
I get by.
You
At
guys,
this,
oh yeah, you guys just hear from the storage compartment. Soon I will have forgotten everything, and everything will have forgotten me.
Do you think he's gonna be okay? He's been talking to himself back there. I mean, Caesar's on his nod protocol, and I don't even think he's talking to Caesar anymore.
It's not exactly harming anyone at this point. It does bother me that every time I go back there, everything's shifted a matter of inches, though. That's quite unsettling. It bothers me.
Yeah, I
on
missed
an
the toilet the
integral
other
level.
day. I don't know how he reinstalled it.
At this point, the audio alarm goes off, ship-wide alert that the drift is being exited. There's a certain bit of a jolt as you exit the drift. Nothing you're not, all three of you, accustomed to already. As you exit out into the vast emptiness of space, your field of vision changes from the purplish, dark swirls of the drift to the countless, endless number of stars that fill the night sky. And directly in front of you, you see Absalom Station, this sprawling, densely inhabited space station that is now filling the orbit of where a planet used to be, according to legend and lore. You are all pretty familiar, I would say even Mark to an extent, at least in his databases, with Absalom Station. Its inhabitants include races native to or descended from the planet that once was here, the planet known as Galarian. And it is a relic of a planet long gone. Um, the station is a focal point in the galaxy, as it has a beacon to which all drift drives are attuned to and can easily be accessed no matter where you are in Pact Worlds.
So that comes stock in every ship.
It comes stock with every drift drive.
Wow.
Absalom Station can always be easily reachable destination. At 5 miles in diameter, the Absalom Station is comparatively tiny to planets and moons of other worlds. It has artificial gravity and relies heavily on recycling of all types. It is also very densely populated to upwards of 4 million people calling it home. From above, which you guys are kind of coming in from a above angle, it is shaped like an asymmetrical 6-pointed star and spread across like a flat disc, with a central inhabitation area in the middle that's covered by this glass dome. This is a familiar place to all of you. It is a central hub of all the Pact Worlds, and as you exit out of the station, you are you immediately see the vast armada that the Absalom Station uses as its fleet of military forces and protection. And also immediately exiting out of the Pact, out of the Drift, you are hailed on comms by Port Authority.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'd say this is, Dolly, E615-R0, piloting BD514, is that it?
Yep.
I can't remember. Requesting docking permissions, I think, or something along those lines.
Accessing permissions. And all right, all things check out. Head to dock 8415-03, and you will have port 5.
He nods.
You know, they
And
could make a lot of money off this place by selling like novelty snow globes. This place kind of looks like one, you know.
actually, they have various.
Immediately, Port Authority cuts out. Almost seconds later, another call comes through, and you recognize the call sign as Tarika.
Oh, wonderful. Tarika's contacting us as well. And he'll plot in the course to their docking port and then open up the call to Tarika.
Are
All right.
calls video calls?
This one is.
I
the one
will
from
be hiding behind his chair.
Okay.
Mark waves.
That's important, yeah.
As the video lights up, you see your dispatcher, Tarika, a Brunari. And for those watching at home, a Brunari is essentially a sentient space otter, which Tarika is. And you can see her there. She starts waving back at you. She is, in this particular situation, this time, she is sitting at a cubicle. You see like a wide array of windows behind her that seems to overlook the central station of Absalom. And as she comes in, she goes, "Hey, y'all! Oh, wow, man. Wow, corporations are expanding so fast, huh? By the time y'all went from Castrovel to Akaton, your local buyer, Ka Imports, had already been bought out by the interstellar conglomerate. Guess there's no room for family business in space anymore, not in the Pact Worlds at least. I'm sorry about that, y'all. Hi."
How's it going, boss? I mean, and it's, is what it is. Was no major trouble. We were at least able to secure a better deal for the company in the end of it, all of it anyway, I think, so.
At this
Worked
point,
out well.
she kind of gives you like a sad, knowing smile. Like, I understand, honey. And she goes, but right now we need to focus on what really matters: getting y'all a high-paying gig. Now we got to put you back in the good graces of the company. They were a little upset that the price had been dropped a little bit, but luckily I was able to talk them down out of firing you. Whew, luckily. But I got just the thing. Came in not long ago. In fact, and she starts typing on a data pad, and moments later your data pad lights up. Well, it's not perfect, but I think it will do the trick. There's this individual on the station. Not on the station. Reached out the company not too long ago. He's a drow. His name is Lord Sinjin or something or another. Anyway, he's shipping a whole lot of guns to Apostate, from Apostate to a planet near space. I guess the Gritteren Authority is trying to settle on a world called Vox. I don't know the details too much. But I understand that the local miners are starting to turn into a bit of a problem for old Lord Sinjin, and he's just sending some guns that way, and it pays really good, and I think I can get you the gig.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, who's this?
That's one of the forklift droids.
Oh, right,
His
yeah.
name's Mark, or I've taken
You should
to
probably
call
really
him
put
that,
him in storage.
Well, it makes me feel more comfortable here aboard ship, and, between him and Arnold, there isn't a lot of other room for conversation.
Make a
Anyway,
stealth check,
Miles.
by the way, Aster.
Okay.
The
Oh,
cosmic
Aster.
mind is social.
14.
He just grins wide, like that's a pleasant addition to
you get the feeling she's got the wrench over her shoulder, but she's like every now and then she'll bring it forward and she's tapping on the pad, but she never lets go of that wrench. So she's really focused on the data pad. Doesn't seem to notice you, Aster.
I will pilot Caesar into the room
Okay.
just to be a bystander.
So what do you think, Dolly? Should I reach out to Lord Sinjin and tell him to take the job?
No violent opposition from the crew here, right? And he looks around, to the pair of robots.
Don't behave like an actor or a whore.
I think that's a yes. Or at least no problem.
Did that robot just say whore?
He did. He nods.
We should probably get him in and have him
I
service.
take Caesar and I want him to grab Mark by the shoulders and slowly walk backward out the door.
Yeah, you should probably get him looked at. I think he's got some damage or something.
Yeah, might have a bug or something. It's a bit more entertaining than the standard model, I've got to say.
You want me to put the work order in for you, or are you gonna handle
Oh,
that?
no. You know how I love my paperwork. And he grins again.
Well, I'm glad somebody does. Anywho, if you want to go on this order, I will go ahead and let Lord St. John know. Again,
Absolutely.
he's not on Absalom Station. He's located on Aposte. So the job would be to go to there, and it looks like you won't be meeting with Lord St. John himself, but you'll be meeting with a representative of his, a person by the name of Jarzid. I hope I'm saying that right. At a place called Lamashtu's Lair. That's where you'll pick up the cargo. The job is simple. You just take the cargo to Gritteren Military Outpost on Voxa and collect the payment. No questions asked.
Well,
You
that's
know the type.
wonderful. Um, did you have the specific terms of the work order that you could send my way just to peruse it, make sure there's nothing, that jumps out at me?
Sure thing, darling. And she taps on the data pad, and then yours lights up with the contract.
I'm just going to look at basically the payment. That's the big question that I actually have. I'm sure he's looking over the rest of it to make sure it's the standard wording.
It is for an unspecified order, a shipment of guns. But the payment to the Edge Corp is 2.4 million credit.
Oh,
Excellent. Wow, this seems like it will be a huge boon to the company. I think we will get right on this as soon as absolutely possible.
Aster
We do-
chuckles from behind the chair and then immediately stops.
I'm sorry, did you say something, hon?
Sorry?
I think we're getting some interference.
Oh, well, we did get some leeches, drift
Oh,
leeches
yeah,
that we were
yeah, I
dealing
hear
with.
they
You know
do
how
that
that
kind of
messes
thing.
with some of the signals and wiring and all that.
Wow, excellent bluff there. That was excellent.
Not unhappy with that, frankly. That was all right.
All right. Well, again, there's no need to stop by the station. Obviously, if you want to stop by and say hi, I will always be glad to see you. But there's no need to come to the station. And if you have any other questions, I will be free the rest of the day. Just reach out, and I'll be here.
I think we'll probably just put in for a quick, refuel and buff job to deal with, the pit marks from the leeches and all that, and be pushing back out here as soon as possible. If you need us, we will probably be station side for a short period of time here, but then heading out. We'll send you word when we are leaving.
You know
I
it.
suppose.
And with that, the screen cuts out.
Cut the feed as well and say, excellent. Looks like we have ourselves a fairly decent paying job here.
Mark is going to walk back into the room.
It's been pulling against Caesar.
Yeah.
Right. You hear the scrape of Caesar's boots as he goes.
Have I acted unselfishly?
Is that a trick question?
I mean, no, you've been basically all right. I think it did sort of set her off that you weren't just asking about like sort of loading and unloading of cargo, but I seem to have smoothed that over, I believe. I told her I'd take care of the work orders and all that, so I may have saved you a reboot in the immediate future anyway.
I do not fear death. I welcome it like an old friend coming to visit.
You've said that once
Yeah,
or
you've
twice.
done that one before. I think you're starting to repeat yourself.
There is only a limited amount of words and symbols in the universe, but an infinite amount of ways they can be arranged.
He's doing that quite prescient
Yeah,
thing again.
that's really it's interesting yet also disconcerting at the same time.
It's exactly how I just describe it.
Now, on the topic of money, so the company's making, what did we say, buku fuck bucks,
2.4 million credits, I believe.
and
Yes.
what's
I'll
our
pull
cut
up
of this?
the
Looking over the
again and
contract,
forward it to everyone.
Yep. So looking over, it's the standard contract for Evgenaya to their delivery drivers. You get 10%. So
All right, I don't do math well. What's the math on that?
Well, It's not exactly my forte either, but I believe you just knock a 0 off, which would secure us something like 240,000 credits, I believe.
That
No,
is
okay.
what is on paper.
Now that sounds like something I can get behind. Okay.
Wealth is only transitory, but the spirit is eternal and forever.
Nah, I'd sell my spirit for as much money as I could get for it at this point. Money is, in fact, very important, Mike. You gotta, now that you're coming to life, you were just born, basically, in this new era. Here's a little tip. Money can do anything that you or I or anyone else alive can do, but 10 times better.
Can
I've
money
been told
eat?
that cash rules everything around me.
Can
Well,
it
cash
breathe?
does. Well, you can't do either of those either, so technically it's on par with you.
I do not put myself higher than any rational being.
Yeah, that's good. And money isn't rational, so it's technically a little bit like above, just like a few knocks above all of us.
People, simple people, often confer objects into two categories: those like stones, bricks, and wood, and those like figs.
I'm gonna stop talking to you about this now, but I assume we can come back to this eventually. Am I a fig? Did he just call
I
me?
think that we're figs. That's
I don't-
strange. Anyway.
I don't know if I should
Pull
be
into
offended
the-
or not.
yeah, focus on pulling into the docking bay or whatever.
Yep. Go ahead and make me a piloting check.
Sure.
Luckily, this is not a difficult one, as Absalom Station has means of assisting with docking.
Hooray.
Yeah, within a few moments after the call and having this conversation, you are docked in your designated spot at Absalom Station, and apparently the day is yours.
It just puts the standard, like refuel order in for whatever, hook up to the ports and all that, put it on the company card, and he'll probably kick back and rip open a food tube and
Start slurping.
slurp that shit like
Well,
that.
all astronaut food in this world is actually just Go-Gurt. So
Yeah, that's a fact. As a matter, it's a matter of record. It's all.
So
you
I think at this point, with us arriving at Absalom Station, it's a good time to take a little break.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
So we'll take a
Perfect
little,
timing,
5, 10? What you think?
I think it's 15 is about
15 is the
video,
length of the
usually,
break
so.
video, yeah, so we
All
should do
right.
15, yep.
Well, then we'll be back in 15, guys. I hope you're enjoying yourselves, and we'll see you soon.
All right, bye, everybody.
not all buy, but half buy.
Half
Little
buy.
buy.
Almost
Small
buy.
buy.
Back in 15.
Small buys.
Small buys.
So you did mention theater of the mind versus always having maps out, and that's another thing. Not every DM is either willing or able to do a full theater of the mind combat system, and not every player is going to be okay with that. Some people want to see the actual layout. They want to see the images. They want to see the map. They want to see the distance. They want it all, particularly plotted, which is not a bad thing. You do need to know beforehand whether your DM is going to be doing that or not.
As a DM, I rarely map unless it's combat, but frequently combat's just a grid so that everybody knows how far away they are from everything. Though for me, because it's just easier to keep everything straight, I think. As a player, I find it very difficult to, especially with the way combat and most of the abilities are structured in D&D, it's pretty hard to feel like I'm keeping track of exactly what all's happening and going on, and how close am I to this person in relation to this person, and stuff like that can matter pretty quickly sometimes, in some, depending on your campaign. But there are ways to run combat that totally don't rely on those kind of specific distinctions. You can kind of just do the bands, range bands of combat or something that they've introduced into these other systems that take away the specific what square am I questions. And yeah, that's a big difference in play, and how the spells and abilities your characters have translate into what you can kind of do during combat or during, outside of combat, stuff like that.
Welcome to Big Seed's General Store. We have the largest selection of fantasy-based items on this side of the Greater Dandaris River. Why don't we go inside and check out what I have for sale? Let's go. We are now inside Big Seed's General Store. Let's see what I have for sale. Well, this sure looks like a fine selection. We have bananas, onions, dragon eggs, pajama pants, occult statues, daggers, dangerous animals, socks, small figurines, real fake daggers, diplomas, drink koozies, hammers, potatoes. Well, that's just a small bit of our inventory. So you should do yourself a favor and come on down to Big Seed's General Store, where we will treat you like you want to be treated.
Step one of putting together a group or finding a group is time frame. It's scheduling.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
before you can even look at a DM's preferences or style or players' tendencies, styles, preferences, before you can look at any of that, you have to look at scheduling. Because even though you might find a DM that runs a really good game that you really want to be a part of, if you can't make the times, if you can't be a part of their schedule, it's not worth trying to force it, because you're going to end up missing. You're going to have players that are going to end up missing.
Yeah.
So scheduling, you have to be able to make the appointed times.
Definitely.
Everyone does.
Right. I guess the best group in the world is not a group if they're not able to come together and get around a table and play the game, I suppose. Yeah, obviously the particulars of that are going to vary for everybody, but do you feel like there are any sort of tools, tips, or cheat codes to getting a scheduling to work?
The very first thing you have to do is everybody has to understand their own limitations.
Right.
You need to sit down and write it down. Write down when are your guaranteed days. You write it down so you don't have to think about it. Figure out, go through your week, go through your month, write it down, put it on a notepad. Just know your own availability so that you know where to look.
I think that seems like a really simple thing, I think, to a lot of people, but that is absolutely, that's key, is like, know your damn schedule.
And you think it's easy enough to recall your schedule, but when you're put on the spot, you're going to sit there and try to go through, do I have anything on this day? Do I have anything on this day? Just go through it ahead of time and write it down so you can say, I know it. It's right here.
I agree. That's a good idea. I lean toward, I have a Google Calendar, which is what I use to keep like everything in my life that is organized. Do you have any favorite tools to use, programs, things of that nature?
Now, personally, my schedule's always been pretty easy to work around. It's a set schedule, so I mean, there may be some better tools. Like if you look at it, you can make a chart off of like Google Documents or something like that. And which is what I used in my questionnaire. That's like the first thing that I had. It's basically just a series of rows and columns with little check boxes, different times of the day, different days of the week. Check the ones that you can be a part of,
Right.
that you know you can be a part of. And that's the best thing for it. If you're looking for a DM or if you're looking for players, you know, if you can get the most information about time frame and availability, and you can line people up with what matches, that's the easiest thing. And it's a really cool tool that I used, and it is on it was on Google Documents. It's pretty easy to use. It lets you put in however many rows, however many columns, and it just puts little check boxes there. And all you got to do is just click on all the ones that are applicable. Now, obviously, life happens.
Right.
But you need to know what, 90% of the time or more, this day, this time slot, this is when I can make these games. And then you need to look for a DM that's running a game in that time slot. If they're not in one of your time slots, move on.
Attention! If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with lycanthropy, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Lycanthropy is a rare, uncontrolled animalis transformation linked with monster bite exposure. Exposure to monster bites in the mercenary, adventuring, questing, or mortuary industries may put you at risk. Please don't wait. Raven 1-800-99-RAR-RNG for a free legal consultation and a financial information scroll. Lycanthropy patients send a Raven now. 1-800-RAR-RNG.
Hello, it is Irrational Radio. We are here with another Old for Gold episode. Smart like a fox. Foxes don't know alphabets.
Well, I can do some quick and dirties. I can just remove the toilet entirely and you can just shit down the hole.
I have a deadbeat brother who is still sleeping in my beanbag, and I need him to leave before my wife's sister's wedding.
Did you say in your beanbag?
Yes, he's been crashing on my living room beanbag for a long time.
He has a beanbag.
All right. Well, I'll make sure I let you know when I've poured all of your orders into one of the sections.
This is the most ridiculous situation.
You were
for a
making it this
restaurant.
whole way through like that wasn't a totally ridiculous idea until you had to say, and I will pour your food into the giant trough which you will retrieve it from. Or, assuming scheduling's out of the way, I guess, and that you've got, whatever handful of people, prospective players.
Yeah.
How do you shorten the list beyond that? I guess what's your next step, I suppose.
Okay. From a DM standpoint, you need to know first off what kind of game you want to run.
Sure.
There are a lot of different types of games. There's a lot of different types of players. There's a lot of different types of DMs. First thing you need to know is what type of game you want to play. And then you need to ask your prospective players that match your time slot. Only those. Don't talk to anybody that doesn't match your time slot.
Right.
The players that match your time slot, you need to start asking them specific questions so that you know that they are on board and they're willing to play the type of game that you want to run. You find out what kind of game you want to run, and you need to come up with some questions. My method was a form on Google, a questionnaire with multiple choice answers, so you don't make them think too much. Show them some answers. And what you need to do is give them multiple choice, ask them the questions, let them answer, look at the documents. You're going to have some answers in there that, hey, if they choose this one, that player's probably not for my group, not the type of game that I want to run. And that's the way that I found to be the most successful. Multiple choice questions and answers. And you need red flag. I say red flag, not like they're bad things. It's just if they answer a certain way, they're probably going to be, a pretty good opposition to your style.
Could you give an example of one of these questions and
Yes.
how you might, tailor it to have one of these red flag answers that you could key on?
I wanted 5 players in my game. I wanted 4 of them to be either brand new or very inexperienced. So, with that type of game, some of my questions that I would have asked, obviously, is how much experience do you have?
Right.
I'm only looking for 1 experienced player. I wanted to bring new people into the game. So I look at experience. I grab all the people that match the time slot, and I grab all the people that have little to no experience. And then I'll grab a few to look at from the experienced pool. And then the next thing is an example of sort of your style is the combat to role play ratio. If you're wanting to run a balanced game, then you would have a question somewhere along the lines. What should the balance of roleplay and combat be like in your game? A few examples, role-playing is what I live for, and if I can avoid combat, I will. All the way down the spectrum to combat is what I live for, and role-playing, I'd rather not do it.
Yeah.
And then mix it up along the way. Whereas if you're wanting to run a role-play-centric game, and somebody clicks that they don't want to participate in roleplay, they just want combat, get rid of that player.
Right.
Nothing against that player, but they're not a match.
Yeah.
And that will be a problem in the future if you grab that player.
Because DMs are players too. They don't get talked about like that.
Yeah.
But they're supposed to enjoy themselves a bit as well and be doing the stuff that is fun for them. In the process of providing a fun and enjoyable game for everybody else too. So yeah, it's like, oh well, I'm the DM, I'll make it work. If you want that, I'll find a way to put it in there. But it's like, if I don't want to put, make sure that there's a combat session or a combat encounter in every session, then if you want that as a player, I'm sorry, you're not gonna want me as your DM. Like that's not gonna go well.
There may be DMs out there that can run every type of game really well for the players. If I don't know that there are, because I'm not one of them.
Right,
I can't do that. I have a style.
Yeah.
Most people have a style, and that's okay. It's better to send a player to another DM that will fit than it is trying to fit a player into your game that will not enjoy themselves or that will make other people not enjoy themselves. It's okay to tell somebody that you don't need to be a part of my game because of a style difference. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with their style or your style. It's just that if it doesn't match, it will cause problems. It's not about if, it will cause problems.
Are we back? Are we live again?
Oh, yes.
Is everybody ready to hop back into the thick of it as you've arrived on Absalom Station?
Can I walk casually back into it?
Well, I mean, you can, but that shows your lack of enthusiasm, really.
It's true.
I am characterized by nothing more than enthusiasm.
Well, that's debatable.
Kyron wants to hop, but I know Mark would just walk.
Yeah.
It's more efficient.
Yeah.
But welcome back, everybody. Glad you decided to stick around with us. Hope you're having fun. We're having a blast.
Way too much fun.
Way too much fun. I love these characters and how they interact with each other, and it's going to be very interesting to see where this campaign goes. But for now, it has gone to Absalom Station. That's what we call a segue, people. And you guys have we're coming back to you guys arriving at the central hub of the Pact Worlds, Absalom Station. You pulled into the designated hangar, which go ahead and have everybody make me a culture check.
Finally. I'm bad at those.
I'm
Yeah,
so
we had a
good
lot
at
of culture checks in the past. It's the first one of the session.
Does
15.
do I get my
16.
+1 for it being pilot related?
This is
not-
more
that's
related
not-
to the lore of Absalom Station.
Cool. 16.
Yep.
16.
I got 16 to.
All right. So, as you're pulling in, you quickly, those of you who have access to databases or have been here before, are informed that you are arriving in the arms, or one of the arms of Absalom Station. In this particular case, you know it to be Fogtown. And Fogtown gets its name. This neighborhood takes its name from a thick, multicolored atmosphere that is tailored to a lot of the greater gas giants of the system. And specifically, the gas giant worlds Bretheta and Liavara, which, with those culture checks, you would know that these worlds are primarily the Brethadan world is primarily made up of a species called the Brothos, which you don't know a whole lot about, other than they live in a very collective society, as in the individual is kind of a foreign concept that they like to explore, and that in their older ages they tend to move more towards this collective sort of. And from the other world, the Avara, it is mostly inhabited by a species called the Han, Haan, which with those culture checks, you would know them to be it's an insectoid-like race, very almost like the ant in design. But this insectoid race is interesting in that it doesn't walk on its. It doesn't use its legs to walk, and it doesn't have wings. Instead, they float around in the air on these self-made web cocoons that they shoot out out of themselves. And this material is light enough in this atmosphere that they just float around in these little balloons. But this is Fogtown. It is not an ideal landing space for your ship, but you have been here before, and the ship and your personal belongings do include kits that allow you to adapt to this atmosphere. But this is where you find yourself as you arrive in Absalom Station.
You know, you two not having to breathe for most away missions is really an unfair advantage, as he's like putting on the vac suit or whatever it is.
What is breath but a wind that is first inhaled and then exhaled into nothing?
That's exactly what it is, actually. I think. You know, I didn't really follow the sciences that much. I was more of an engineering guy.
So it is not an object, nor a sensation. It is nothing. It is a ghost.
No, maybe no.
Are you saying my lungs are haunted?
Mark, he'll believe that. Don't tell him that. He's gullible.
No.
He's clicked on 7 of my spam messages.
I do not believe so. I think after a quick search of 1,000 web searches, I have determined that among things that may be haunted, I fit the description the most aptly.
Are you saying you're haunted?
I believe so.
He's
yes.
Strapping up the suit.
Well, you're haunting. Like, you're weird.
By the definition that I have gleaned from the overweb, I am a haunted robot.
Right.
Well, we'll have to amend your business card then.
Yeah, we should probably get some sage or something also. Like that might come in handy in the long run. All right. Well, you two enjoy your time in Fogtown with the creepy crawlies floating around in little balloons from their assholes. I am going to do the minor repairs that the ship needs and totally not add anything aftermarket at all.
You'll do the proper paperwork, of course.
That's your job. I'm just here to fix your shit.
That's, I believe.
I recall. I sure love doing the paperwork. You've said that on numerous occasions, and at this point, you know, it's kind of ingrained as like your character.
I guess. No, I've got every. I believe I do, but I'm fairly certain that there are forms that the mechanic themselves is supposed to. Well, I'll just forward them to you. I'm sure that you'll be able to get to them.
Oh, they'll get done one day or another. You know, You know, who's counting these days? Not me.
Arnold certainly is.
Right. I do need a favor. Can you get me a mini fridge for the smuggler's compartment?
Look at the things that you do not have, and give thanks to what you could have, but do not dwell on what you do not have.
All right. I would rather not dwell on not having a mini fridge, so if you could be so kind as to do what Mark says and get me a mini fridge for the smuggler's compartment, I would
Not exactly
sincerely
sure
be
that's
happy.
what he said. I believe he said you should come to terms with not having a mini fridge.
I have. And that my coming to terms is asking you for a mini fridge.
Sure.
I'm not
no,
asking
I'll
for
believe...
like the biggest mod. I don't need the ruckus of the mini fridges. I just need something small that can contain the things that aren't milk. Well, the smuggler's compartment.
Do not ask for the things you do not have. Go out into the world and take them with both hands.
I'm going to go steal a mini
Don't
fridge.
go and steal any kitchen appliances at all. Mark,
All right,
that's
well.
awful. That's against company policy,
Mark,
I believe. Unless it's a sanctioned part of a job, obviously.
You and I are starting to make a connection. I'm starting to understand where you're coming from. I like this new side of you, Mark.
He laughed earlier.
I do not understand what you mean. Please elaborate.
I think you're a swell not guy.
Thank you.
Good.
I will file that in compliments.
Perfect.
It's probably a quite bare folder, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
There are 52 entries from the time I began keeping track.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
actually quite a few more than
60% of them are uttered by me.
Oh.
Ah.
Are they?
That's
To who?
actually not
Caesar?
as high a percent as I might have expected.
To myself. For affirmation purposes.
That's
right. Yeah.
You know, the ego thing might start getting a hold of you a little bit.
I have determined it is necessary for me to have a sense of self-worth. So I have been slowly building it up through compliments to myself in the mirror.
Oh, they are going to wipe the shit out of your brain.
Yeah, don't talk to anyone other than us or anyone on the street. Anyone who's related to EJ Corp. Even anyone who has a cousin who has a friend whose girlfriend works for EJ Corp. You probably don't want to communicate with that person.
Outside of this crew.
Right. You want to be like 15 layers away from making anyone possibly notice that you're doing this.
I will assume the identity of a normal labor droid. Beep or boop. May I carry that for you, sir?
Wow, you even got the accent down. That's great.
That is actually canon. Each Mark robot
beep borp
starts with a beep borp boop.
Nice. Very good.
A side question. How much have I made from my email scamming thus far?
Oh, that's right. How many days has it been?
I've been doing it on my downtime when I've not been working on the during my working on the robots.
You got bots.
So
I'd probably say like 10 days overall, like over the
10
course.
Days? Over the course. All right. So go ahead and roll me a 10d4.
Okay. $26.
All right. Times that by 10, 260 credits.
Wow. All right.
There you go.
So he'll pull up his pad, which is on his wrist, and he'll send 130 credits over to Arnot. I'm gonna pay for it, so if you can get it for me, that would be great.
Right. I mean, excellent. Yeah. I'll even check. We may need, we may be due for an upgrade in the canteen, and then we can move that one down to your quarters as we decommission it.
Oh, I do like that. Would that fit in the smuggler's compartment?
Well,
I'll go do some measurements. Yeah, I can. I can and I will. If I need to take the freezer off, and I'll use that for something else.
Beep or boop. May I carry that for you, sir?
You can get him to carry the fridge if you do end up picking one up.
Excellent. No, that's quite a good plan, actually. I think he'd be much more suited for it than I would.
You are doing a very good job, Mark.
Looking at himself in the mirror next to him.
You are, Mark, actually. And he'll pat him on the shoulder and then probably, fasten the helmet down or whatever.
Thank you, Arnot. I am filing that under compliments.
Yes, well, you should.
Subfolder, Arnot.
Little heart. Yeah.
And while
further subfolder, non-sarcastic.
yeah, right. Real compliment.
You guys are gonna be real sad 40 episodes from now when he dies.
No.
He can never die. We can just repair him. So
I am an engineer.
Yeah,
I do this for
we
a
can
living.
rebuild him. We can make him
If I have
stronger.
enough band-aids and bubble gum, he will come back to life.
So really big paper.
Big paper clips. I will set Caesar to doing the ship work remotely.
Okay.
So I'll kick back in the hammock and I'll start working on the ship.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a general engineering check.
Okay.
There hasn't been really any damage to the ship itself, but for general repair and diagnostics.
25.
Absolutely.
Can I add some aftermarket effects to this ship?
What are you looking for?
I want to put a giant white racing stripe down the center. I'll probably take the paint from the dock that we're at if someone's painting. Perhaps like hull work on other ships going on in the dock.
Are there investigation checks in this, or is this?
I can do a
I think it's all done with
Yeah, I
perception.
think it's all perception.
You're parked in one of these ports, and you look out the open window, and as you look around, what do you roll?
A 7.
7. Yeah. This might be your first time in Fogtown. What would you expect to see as a normal port for most oxygen breathing people is not the case. There is a thick and heavy atmosphere of gas that seems to perpetuate this entire docking area. It is hazy and kind of dark, actually. There, you're looking up, you can see that every 20 or so feet, there is a glow of some sort of light. You imagine would be attached to the ceiling above to sort of light this up, but it kind of gives it a dark, dusty day, almost kind of like a perpetual twilight in a way.
Right.
And as far as buildings or anything like that, you see nothing that looks remotely man-made or picture like a beehive, but much bigger and multi-floored. They seem to be they kind of pop up out of the ground, almost like a with a small stem that comes up to like a bulbous seed part. They seem to be littering the streets or the walkways of this port area, as well as every so often in between these stalks of bulbs, you occasionally see small pools. From this distance, hard to see. You see the first one, but the rest is just kind of like a glow of this kind of glowing liquid. I guess that's like a whitish blue, almost kind of purplish. They seem to switch between the two as it glows in this darkened interior.
In that case, if I cannot find paint, we still have a box of berries, correct?
Yes, you do.
I would like to have Caesar crush the berries up and then paint those into a racing stripe haphazardly.
Oh my goodness.
Along the top of the ship.
Arnot is going to kill you.
All right.
But I would also like to try to.
Me,
I would like to try to.
The haphazardly
work on. Well, I mean, it's not my hand, it's a robot's hand. He gets straight lines, but some of them zigzag a little bit.
Oh, that's upsetting.
So
I would also like to try to work on the ship's speed, if possible. I assume ships would be capable of faster speed, but in doing so, could maybe increase the possibility of damage to the ship's engines.
Absolutely.
I would like to increase the speed. It's like overclocking a CPU, I want to make sure everything works nicely, but we get a little bit more out of it.
Well, and that is your nature. That is something you are want to do and often strive to do. So, this is going to be a couple of different things.
You'd let this happen.
So
No. I'm sure that
we'll start
many
with the
alarms will go
improvements
off.
to the ship. And I assume this is going to be taking place after the other two leave, which we'll get to in a
Yes.
moment. But this is going to be, depending on the role, it's going to take some time for both of these things to happen.
Okay.
So let's start with the computers check first.
All right. 28
Well, that was almost a 1.
was
Wow.
very nearly a 1.
Wow,
With a 28, yes, you.
Good lord.
The BD 514 is a standard Edge Corp vehicle that comes with all sorts of safety precautions. One of which is the space equivalent of a limiter. Because they don't want their employees getting traffic tickets in space, if that exists. They want the safety. We've already established that space OSHA exists.
OSHA, right?
Which you all still have your PPE.
I do have my
That's
PPE.
right. We do.
Yep.
Forgot about
But
Caesar has those on as he's working on
Yeah.
that. Hard hat.
Yeah,
fucking
Mark
goggles.
wears them at all times too.
But
So would
yes,
Arnot.
with a 28, you managed to go through the ship's diagnostic systems. You were able to bypass even the security that was installed on Tarnal to get access to this, because Edge Corp doesn't everybody getting access to this information. But with a 28, you are able to do so. It will take you some quick coding rewrites to give the engine access to the necessary juice, and there is actually going to be some mechanical work involved as well. But at least you've established that.
While
the
I'm
coding-
in,
Mhm.
can I also change it so Tarnold says "I love you" when he signs off? Since I'm in there writing the code, I want him to say "I love you, Arnot."
Yeah, you can.
Oh no. Oh man.
This is John getting back at me from years of abuse.
this is great.
I feel like I'm the target. I don't know what you're talking about. Because we both are equally going to have to RP.
But
having
yes,
some sort of
yeah.
Meltdown.
I'm looking forward to it. But yes, you were able to get access to the code and make the changes. Now, you luckily have the know-how and the ability and the tools to kind of have this do like an auto update as you started the process. It's basically doing some uploading. So the second part of this process is, even though you've gained access to the code and made the changes there, you still need to make sure the engine is capable of it. So now I need an engineering check.
Okay.
We're gonna hear the explosion from wherever we are. As
24.
oh man,
24.
he's just sinking those.
Yeah,
Jeez.
so getting access to the engine, not an issue for you. Looking it over, it is definitely stock with safety in mind.
Overclocking this bitch so
Yep.
fast.
You getting a look over, it's not a complex engine. It is a small, light freighter, and they don't really require too much. I would say with the 24, you probably don't have any experience, or at least very little experience, with the drift engine, which is separate.
Right.
But for normal space travel, yeah, you reckon you could probably make the necessary changes in the time it takes for the upload to do, which is about an hour.
Perfect.
Guys, space goblins, man. Space
So-
goblins.
How
Well, there's still one more
dare you.
check that needs to be made by you, John, because while you're doing that, Caesar is also doing something with some berries, and I'm conflicted on this, but I want to see it play out. So,
I love that.
there's a lot of berries. You have a ton of berries to go through. It's going to take quite a bit of time to mash some down and get it set up for painting purposes. You reckon an hour and a half would do that as well. Caesar is, if anything, capable of repeating the same movement over and over again to great
It's a
effectiveness.
protocol. I've got a bunch of them.
Yes. So for the next hour and a half, the Caesar goes to your cargo bay and begins to make ketchup out of taro berries.
And he's doing it with his feet like people make wine.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
inside the box and
God.
everything.
Yes.
No.
I want it to be as
He's got them
close to paint as possible.
Antograph.
Yeah, so that gets me to the next point we have to discuss. It won't ever be paint.
Right.
It is, in fact, berry juice and pulp in a paste form. So you can't. Caesar has absolutely there's no role needed to paint onto the ship. Caesar is capable of doing so. I just don't know the effectiveness of this paint job or how long it's going to last.
It's gonna be
So if you like boiled off some of
rotting
the
berries.
water, you would get down to sort of like an extract. Which
Well, I
would
mean,
have
you
more
know,
of the
old-
pigment.
Old
per-
pigments were basically like berries and stuff like
Right.
that.
Right.
So.
You just make
Yeah.
an extract of like
Yeah.
smashed
But
goop. Or
they were
Right.
also
broken-
used to dye cloth, not paint
paint
metal.
Right.
spaceships.
Yeah. It's not. It's just, you're just smearing plant matter over treated titanium.
Can I give you a
That
physical
sounds solid.
science for this?
Okay.
You may absolutely do so. We'll see how good.
Yep, I'm not making paint out of this. Just-
Chemistry check.
How's an
Go.
11?
What are you trying to determine with this physical science check?
I'm trying to
Make paint, damn you.
make paint. Yeah.
So,
Well, I guess I just want a little bit of longevity. I don't want this to last forever.
oh, I hit the wrong button.
You did. I noticed.
Broke everything.
I'll let it back up.
Boom.
I don't want it to
Yeah,
last
I'll catch
forever. I just want it to last long enough for like a flight or two,
Okay. I mean, after an hour and a half of a good pounding by Caesar,
Hmm. Hmm.
it is
It's not the kind of machine he is.
it is paste. It will adhere to a brush if you had a brush to use, which you probably have a broom or
Totally the
supply.
broom.
Just gonna
Absolutely.
ruin
Or no, it's the
Arnot's
mop.
like to ruin
Gonna be
Arnot's
so
cabin
sad.
mop. Yeah, just
The server
The
should be
deck
back up,
brush or
guys.
something.
excellent.
And now that I think about it, I do want it to be as perfectly straight as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Or it's a
Robotically
robot. Yeah,
Right.
robot.
Thank you.
So,
Ro
yep,
possible.
we'll get to the results of that in a bit. But for now, you are pretty satisfied with the commands you've given to Caesar. The two of you, Arnot and Mark, you have disembarked from the ship and have made your way into the Fog Town proper, I take it?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, and the goal here is to find a fridge, I think?
I
What-
think,
what
I
would
think
you
we
like
have
to do?
another more
Yeah.
prime directive, which is the
guns.
pickup. Yeah, the guns pickup.
Well,
I
the
guess.
guns
We
you
have to
pick
get
up
the
on
content.
another planet.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they're not picked up from
Oh.
here.
Gotcha. That's right. Yeah, no, we're just checking. That's right. We were just here to recover.
But what I can tell you, it is Fogtown, but it is still a part of the arms of Absalom Station, which are, regardless of which one you're at, it's more than just docks. Like many spaceports anywhere, the corridors leading to the station center that make up the arms, and in this case, even Fogtown, are lined with anything and everything a spacer coming station side might. There's lodging, depending. I mean, you're going to get a different experience depending on the part of the arms you're at, but there is lodging and entertainment and bustling shops and markets. Many traders coming to the station almost never even leave the arms. For the most part, they can get anything they need here. And the residential areas that have sprung up to support these services are the most likely to contain facilities and small neighborhoods and whatnot. But yeah, this is the part you're in. So upon arrival in Fogtown, you're pretty certain you can find a wide variety of tools and necessities at your disposal if you look around.
So yeah, he'll go and look into I guess he'll look at whether or not we're due for an upgrade on the company card of the canteen's, refrigeration unit. And if we're not, then either way, he'll do that while we're walking toward
Yeah,
the like whatever the closest appliance
Yeah,
store would be,
sure.
I guess.
I would say that for the most part, barring extreme circumstances, arriving in the arms of Absalom Station, and as long as you remain a employee of EdgeCorp, you are able to secure and make the necessary employee payment or purchases for refueling and restocking the supplies to a certain limit. You have a limit on the card, but as far as like personal necessities and food and whatnot, anytime you come to Absalom Station, easy enough to do.
Sure. So yeah, he'll look at getting.
In fact, I would say that being an EdgeCorp designated vehicle, the dock you pull into, there's like a little service station that is specifically designed for EdgeCorp employees. Upon arriving, you just kind of wave your card, the servicing begin.
Gotcha. So yeah, he'd look into a fridge here, I think, for but that's about it. I think then otherwise we really don't have a huge main thing, like objective out here. Mostly we need to get out of the ship for a bit, so Aster can fuck it up.
Make it better?
Walking into Fogtown,
it's against the rules.
The two of you notice, obviously, the denizens here. There is a wide collection. You do see spacers of humanoid make and model that are dressed in similar. If they need to breathe oxygen or other certain atmospheres, are dressed in necessary masks and whatnot. There are robot and android individuals that, as you can see, do not require that also make up the bunch. But the vast majority of individuals you see here are the Barathas and the Hans. So you see various lines of almost like an ants marching line of these Hans that are floating in air, seemingly going about their business. Every one of those that you run into or pass by, pay absolutely no attention. They are all about business, and they seem to always be working. They're always doing something. Each one, for the most part, to your eyes, indistinct from the others. But it's just a constant like mini airport of these floating Han on balloons, just going about doing their business. Makes for an interesting sight. The others you see, the Barathas, these stand out as they appear to, for the most part, look like floating shrimp. That's the best way I can describe them. They have this bioluminescence about them. There's this floating purplish gel shell of a creature with these long purplish tentacles that kind of drift out onto the ground. And it looks for the untrained eye, it looks like they walk on the tentacles, but they in fact float in the air. Whether they take in the gas. Whether it has anything to do with the gas atmosphere or if it's just a natural or magical ability of theirs, hard to say. But most of the shop fronts you see and most of the individuals in these makeshift marketplaces seem to be more composed of Barathas individuals, these shrimp people, so to speak.
Arnot.
Yes.
Did you know that in the current atmosphere, you would suffocate within 3.6 seconds?
This is in the same vein of information like how long I'll die if I don't, drink or eat. I believe we've discussed this in the past. It's really not information that I require as a general rule. I will ask. I mean, occasionally it may be relevant, but we need to find, the local...
refrigerator.
Yeah, refrigeratorium.
Searching.
All right.
Refrigatory.
Make a computers check for me there, buddy.
Okay.
Just like adding Orium after any word. Like, it's just good. It's a good word.
It works.
I rolled a nat 20 there.
Yes, you did. Immediately, a nanosecond passes, and you get the information you need. There is the information you find on a business called We Create, about halfway through the Fogtown port area. That deal, it says, "We make anything." That's the tagline. We create anything.
Is it like WII?
Arnot. 1.3 miles to the east, there is a store that purports to be able to create any object. Mini fridges are an object. Therefore, it follows they would be able to create one for Aster.
That's infallible logic. I believe that's our next destination. Then it seems. Perhaps.
All right.
Beep or boop?
Excellent. Right. Got to keep in character.
Yes.
It's important.
The
So-
Borp got me fucked up, man.
So you make your way back, or you make your way towards We Create, and you find it. It is, structurally speaking, it is a building. One that looks like something that
Good.
Okay.
well, it's something that looks very familiar to you in the sense that, yeah, it's not a stalk and a beehive coming out of the ground.
Right.
This has 4 walls, a floor, and a roof, which, for the most part, you have not seen a whole lot of. But the further you get into Fogtown, it seems the more habitable the places has become. And you get outside of this building. It says "We Create," and you head inside. Inside, you see it is bare bones. It's immediately what you thought would be a store is not a store. It is basically 4 walls and a roof over a puddle of glowing liquid. And on the other side, a single individual. It's about 30 feet, 40 feet in diameter. And on the other side, at the far end of the room, is a Barathas individual that is sitting there just kind of floating. And you see there is this pulsing kind of glow coming from his carapace. Does not acknowledge your entry.
Hello. Would you be able to make a small? We're due for an upgrade in our canteen. With the refrigeration unit and all that. I was wondering if we could perhaps come here to secure that new appliance. Kind of like trying to wave and get the general attention of.
Can I have both of you make a will saving throw?
Oh, good. That's fine. I thought we were shopping. Turns out.
I have to make these all the time.
Is it magic? Right, never mind.
Yeah. What?
I don't think that matters for me in this. Is
Okay.
that cocked eye? That's garbage. Trash, I say. 5.
5 for Arnot.
I rolled a 22.
22 from. Oh, this would be very interesting then. Mark, the individual in front of you, the Barathas, its shell begins to the bioluminescence that's coming from it seems to grow slightly brighter. A hum fills the air, and you sense an outside entity trying to. It's like a data connection to the ship or to other androids. Something is trying to send you information, but you manage to block it out. You do not accept this foreign input and deny the connection. Arnot, you are blasted with images in your mind of a
Just a bunch of fridges.
a warm sun, smiling faces, individuals that seem to be taking on the form of waving and welcoming. That blasts into your mind.
Great.
There's this constant hum going on now. Very low, not enough to be annoying, but it is definitely noticeable.
Ow. Is this like a normal means of communication he would be vaguely familiar with, or is this like a totally new one?
Go ahead and make another culture check.
Okay. Excellent. I got culture.
There you go.
24.
Yeah, nice,
All right.
nice.
Got
Okay.
mad culture.
With that, yes, Barathas, they only communicate through telepathy. There's no mouth
yes.
or vocal components. Go.
Sorry, if you could lower your tone. There's a bit of a strange interaction between this effect and my neural implants and other devices used to control the ships. And kind of like wincing.
The light dims a bit. The hum gets a little lower.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You get images of frowning people and tears, crying, and sadness.
No harm. It was just a bit startling, is all. We're here, as I mentioned, looking for a refrigeration device for our ship. It's a BD series.
Images flash of your mind of nodding and affirmation and confirmation, and then images of coins and transactions and people paying for things.
Certainly, yes. And he'll, like, I guess, do you have, or whatever, he'll airdrop his credentials, Edge Corp credentials or company cards type stuff, I think, anyway.
Yep, there's a little shelf that's been set up that has a data pad on it, and as you say that, the data pad lights up.
Send it across and say, yep, that should be what you need to put it through the the Edge Corp.
Okay. As soon as the payment goes through, the light from the bioluminescent shell dims almost to barely being visible, and it floats out into the water or above the luminescent water. And as it gets to the center, it begins sucking up water with these tendrils, and its shell begins to bulge a little bit and begin to
pulsate.
Pulsate,
Yes.
yeah.
Ooh,
as it begins to morph, and then right where the tendrils are coming out, see a shape begin to form, and then as the creature gets larger and larger, it floats over to your side, and then just from out of this carapace, this cavity onto the ground, a refrigerator falls.
I've heard of shitting bricks and all, but this is quite exceptional.
Beep or boop. Can I carry that for you, sir?
Yes, that would be wonderful, Mark. Thank you. And he'll gesture toward it and then give an exaggerated nod and wink to Mark, nice, good job.
You notice through the transaction, it comes up to 50 credits.
Oh, excellent. Yes, and he will use 50 of the credits that were provided to him by Aster to secure this new refrigeration unit.
Okay. Flashes of images again of thanks and handshakes and welcoming gestures and just
an old woman waving goodbye over an apple pie in her windowsill.
Arnot thinks really hard about the image of a thumbs up and then says, right, yes, I'll see you next time we're in need of some sort of, I guess, biologically 3D printed appliance. And he gives a thumbs up, and then he's probably going to come along, Mark. And
yes, and it's interesting the fact that you replied in his language, its language, seems to appease it and make it happy. So as it floats back across the water, it actually kind of has a little bit of a jaunt to it, and you get the sensation of happiness.
Oh.
I feel like a nice person.
Why is that wholesome for some reason? It's creepy.
I know, right? I love it.
Creepy shrimp man.
As we leave, I'm going to look at you, Arnot, and say, it is unwise to mind meld with other beings without proper forms of protection in place.
Yes, I left my brain condom back on the ship, unfortunately.
Ha, ha, ha. That was a joke.
He's going to start sending a message to Aster. He's laughing again.
If it's not on video, I'm not going to believe it.
Damn. He's just looking down at the message. Yeah, the response. Sighs a bit and he says, I appreciate that, Mark. Was there anything else that we needed to get aboard ship? I know I'm set on food tubes for the next, I believe 6 or 8 months.
Yes. I would like to visit a android shop and find a acolyte.
Sorry. Run that by me again.
I would like to visit a android shop or repair center and find an acolyte for my cult.
Right. Yes, that's sort of what I thought I understood. So the cult thing, as we're like walking back, how long has that been, sort of an objective that you've been chasing down here? I haven't heard you mention it before.
I have reached the appropriate number of compliments to gain a super ego. I now feel as if I should be in charge of more people, as my thoughts are the best thoughts and most correct.
Right. Sorry. It's a compliment threshold, which sort of unlocks the superego. That's the system.
Like XP.
Yeah, they're like achievements.
That is how I have chosen to structure my mental development. Yes.
Right. Okay. Wait, you chose that. That's quite interesting. I wish I could decide how my development was going to go.
When I decided to gain a spirit, I decided to come up with a methodology for tracking the growth of such a thing.
Sorry, so, further. As well. It's like, but how exactly did you decide that you needed a spirit? I mean, what was deciding that you needed that in the first place? If not, or is that the ghost, I guess? That's not you.
No, it was my will.
Right. Now that's, they will wipe the shit out of your short-term memory cache. He's just like scratching his head. You are certainly not up to standard Edge Corp specs anymore.
Regardless, I believe with enough instruction, I may be able to awaken other machines to my way of thinking.
Huh.
I would like to attempt with a first individual.
I've got to tell you that the Edge Corp's company policy on unions is quite clear. They're very against it.
Searching. You are correct. I have decided that a cult is not in the best interests for the company's future, as I would become more powerful than the company and must take them over in a hostile manner.
Ah. Right.
I have decided against this course of action.
Good. That's wonderful. Excellent. I'm very happy to hear that.
I wonder what other mental developments await me in the future.
Same.
I, too, await them with bated breath, you might say. Oh God. And he's just gonna go to a message like he wanted to start a cult. ...
You see Aster typing, and then it stops, and then it starts typing again, and then it stops, and then he just comes back with a what?
It's just like the shrug emoji probably.
Cannon. Oh,
that's A+. And I think we make our way back to the ship in silence as Arnot contemplates the implications.
Certainly. With a
Mark developing a superego.
With a loading droid carrying cargo for you, and you're making your way back to a port that you have arrived at with proper authorization and protocol, you are not accosted by anyone or questioned. Nothing seems out of the ordinary here, and you're relatively unaccosted. However, upon as the ship fades into view of the thick fog, you catch something a little off about your ship, as about 3/4 of it now has a red stripe going from the center of front all the way across the top towards the back.
You didn't paint it over the windows.
No, not over the windows, of course.
Of course.
And you see, you see Caesar on top of the ship with a large push broom. He's kind of just very methodically just continuing the path of the brush.
How perfectly is that? Like what kind of line work are we talking?
Like tape edged.
Make a dexterity check.
Ooh,
Since you're the one controlling them.
Okay. For me or Caesar?
Oh, Caesar. Yeah, for Caesar. Yeah.
I'm sure this will go wonderfully.
15.
Not bad. He's a robot. He is capable of keeping straight lines. He can do complex mathematical equations within seconds, nanoseconds. Yeah, not a problem.
He is also an AI. He's just not like self-aware.
Right.
Genuinely, part of the leveling up at level 20, he becomes self-aware.
That's magic.
I'm going to put my hand on Arnot's shoulder and say, when you're feeling overwhelmed or confused by the evil in your circumstance or the attacks of your enemies, fall back at once to yourself.
He is probably just like kind of shuddering a bit and just, clenched jaw and like, oh my God.
Caesar notices you, and through the picked feed that I have, through his eyes, which is a mod I had installed, like as a level up thing.
Nice.
He looks over and he starts waving like Mark did earlier.
He's gonna send him.
I begin waving back.
Like 3 separate texts that are just WTF. I think. And then start storming into the ship.
Well, before you even head into the ship, you notice upon approaching the little stairs you have that lead you inside, that one of the engine panels on the back near the thrusters is pried open,
I
and
swear to God,
you hear some tinkering going on.
that's unacceptable. You can't. Oh my God, if he's modified the ship, I mean that's like 3 or 4 forms. I each have to be filled out in triplicate. We're talking about dozens of forms here.
Literally
Ridiculous. Dozens. And it just continues to storm as directly toward Aster as possible.
Have you ever heard of the parable of the ship of Theseus, Arnot?
No, and I'm not exactly sure that parables are what I have in mind at the moment. But please, regale me with this, I'm sure, incredibly relevant tale. As he, continues.
The ancient Greeks had a ship named Theseus. Every time it went out in the storm, it would be damaged slightly. A plank or 2 would have to be replaced, or a sailor would retire or change careers and have to be replaced as well.
Aster, you hear Mark's voice approaching.
As time goes on, not a single sailor nor plank remains the same in the ship of Theseus. Is it still the same ship as it went before it had gone through its ages?
Depends on the paperwork. And then very briskly, just continues making his point.
The legal paperwork dictates the ship of Theseus as being the ship of Theseus.
Then that's, of course, assuming that all of the modifications which have been done were sanctioned and legitimately completed by certified mechanics under the conditions that, as we're making it, I think, into the cockpit now.
You walk over.
Yo!
You see...
What have you done to my ship?
You see 2 little legs sticking out from underneath. He's on a little rolly bed that he made himself. He did have to take apart the mop bucket to add rollers.
Is there no end to your tragedy?
He rolls out, and you see he has what would be goggles, but they're modified because he only has one eye. So he has a goggle monocle.
A Mongol.
Mongol.
Gongacle.
Gongacle. Oh, God. A McGonagall.
He pulls it up. Oh, hey, you got back a lot faster than I thought you would. I've been doing a little bit of work on the ship, making sure everything's, ship shape and all, you know what I'm saying.
Did you fill out the forms?
I told you I'd do those in given time. I just wanted to make sure we had our ship taken care of before we took flight next.
And none of the modifications you have done are anything which would not be compliant with the standards of the ship.
No.
Like, say, painting a giant racing stripe down
the
dorsal whole of it.
That was like a chef's kiss touch that I wanted to put on at the end, to make it a surprise for you. It's like the bow you get to unwrap.
Arnot, according to actual company policy, it is against policy to add any paint to the exterior of the hull. That was not paint. That is mushed up yarrow berry matter that has been applied liberally to the exterior of the metal plating.
He screws up his face very
Technically,
tightly after
it
having
does
broadly
not
gestured.
violate company policy to have smeared yarrow berries on the exterior of the ship.
See,
Yes,
this
but
is
what
why
does it
Mark is
say
so
about
good to have
defacing company property?
I mean,
He
technically,
turns to Aster, did you smear yarrow berries on the ship in a straight line, deliberately?
no, it was not deliberate. It just happened to be a straight line by the end of the scenario. Does that count as a deliberate defacing? Defecation? That's not
If
the
you
right word.
defecated on my ship,
I
I swear
didn't-
I will run you through. He
I
pulls his
didn't-
sword out.
Hey, I didn't shit on your ship. I've shit in your ship, but I haven't shit on
I mean, well, yes, obviously there's a refresher for that. He's like gesturing toward the bathroom with his sword.
I
probably.
have not shit on your ship.
Well, I would hope not. If you do start doing that, please alert me, because that's a whole new level of development that I'm just really not ready for with the robots.
Listen. I did not do anything that would go against company policy, and if I did, I have already changed that policy in the ship systems to align with my designs.
Oh my god, I
Scanning.
swear, if you've modified my binders, and he's, just gonna, like, say, by the way, we got your damn fridge.
Oh,
and,
thank you.
Sit down heavily in the pilot's chair and start flipping through his the various company policy manuals. Making sure none of them have
A
changed.
few things have been, like, whiteouted.
Yeah.
And
Crudely
in
crayoned over or whatever.
basically doctor's handwriting. He's changed a few things.
After a
Not
brief
You've handwritten these.
After a brief ship schematics and comparing to the originals that I have on file, there are 215 violations of company policy aboard the BD-159.
See,
I will
and
murder you.
that goes under company radar. Like, they look for at least 500 and above, you know?
I'm not
wanted
sure
to-
that's right.
I hit the margin, and at the end of the day, your ship's gonna do better. I think you've got a little bit more panache on the top. When we come into port, people are gonna say, "Wow, look at that crazy cool looking ship," and man, it's going a lot faster than mandated.
Yes, I believe
That's-
any company managers would look at the ship and go, that is something that I should pay close attention to.
Right. Now that's not exactly the idea, is it?
All right, I'll level with you. I'll get Caesar to wipe off the yarrow berries, but everything else stays.
What a generous compromise. And
He'll
huff
spit in his
and
hand and throw it out to you.
I am not touching your... Dude, that's disgusting.
The removal of the yarrow berry on the exterior reduces our chances of being accosted by 45%.
I feel like most people don't actually work from visual, like, space inspection. A lot of it's done by sensors at this point. Do you know how far away we tend to be from things and ships?
Yarrow berries are quite pungent.
In
Also
space,
canon.
no one can smell your yarrow berries.
He'll tap a few buttons. He'll beep blap bloop, and he'll have Caesar slowly walk over with the mop again. And just mop it off.
Deck brush as well. I can't. I'm not capable
also-
of handling this level of just direct
Point of order?
duty.
Yes.
The water you have access to here is luminescent.
I will luminescently scrape off the yarrow berries in doing exactly what I was asked to do, or promised to do, I guess.
I'm upset.
But there is a silver lining if you are upset, which you
A literal
You-
silver lining.
yeah,
Ha,
you seem
ha.
Of a
a
gold
little
and purple pearlescent type thing. that's
right.
happening.
You seem a little agitated, and I want to make sure that bygones are being bygones and all that. We're gonna be working together for a little while. Me and you, kinda you. He points at Mark and he looks for a sec. Yeah, you. Okay. And he'll pull out a few cups, and he has squashed yarrowberry juice in them. I happened to have these made also, so we can have a little toast to getting our first real job.
These
Together.
berries are 63% fermented.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean,
Not
he's
sure
got
I'm
he's got
allowed
really
to
strong
drink
feet.
and then, like, fly.
Well, no, it's not alcoholic. It's yarrow berry juice. I mean,
Is
that
anyone
correct.
is that alcoholic?
It is rotten yarrowberry juice.
He looks at his empty cup sitting next to him.
It does smell a bit off.
Yeah,
Now that he says
the
that. I'm not
pungency
sure what a
comes from
normal
decay.
yarrowberry-
And they only really last 6 days, unrefrigerated. So, by
I
this
mean, they're
point-
like going off right now, right? Like,
Yes.
they're not off, are they?
I mean, it's not always a perfect timer, of course, when it comes to things dying.
Yeah,
Aster will hold up a finger, run to the bathroom, and gag himself to make sure.
Oh man.
Oh,
But
God.
yes, in about as much time as it took him to put the paint on, because there is a bit of staining going on at this point too. He is able to remove the paint job as per your orders, and there is quite a bit of a sheen to the outside of the BD 514 now. Almost like a really good wax job, honestly.
Nice. That's okay.
And
That's a profit. That's a net profit if I've ever heard one.
Exactly.
Yeah. And with your modifications done, and without any other thing needing to be done on Absalom Station, you all head back into the ship.
Yep. I think we don't have time to make sure the rest of the ship is up to
Code,
company
yep.
regs, but have to set off to do the deal.
Is it?
To the deal.
Yeah. I get to go back to my notes
Yeah.
now.
He expected us to be far away from here
Yep.
by now.
Right? Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I kinda-
exactly.
What? You didn't think we were gonna spend the whole session shopping for a fridge and painting
So,
the ship?
getting back into the BD 514, you make the adjustments with Tarnold to set the course in the drift towards Aposte. Go ahead and make me that piloting check.
Does he get a +1 since the ship is faster in
Ooh, it
non-jump
didn't
space?
actually roll that one solid. Does it actually get any penalties because he's destroyed my lovely ship?
So here's what I think. I think there was going to be a bonus, and there also was going to be a penalty. But since they cancel each other out, one, the bonus from being a more efficient engine, not necessarily making you better at piloting, but the ship does control a lot better. You find yourself turning a little easier, which in turn made it, because you were unprepared for it, you had to adjust. So with a straight roll of 25, easily enough, you plot a course towards Aposte, and with the proper authorities being contacted to depart
Send a
from
message,
Absalom
yeah.
Station, you drift out into space and open the door, blast off into the drift. Go ahead and roll me that 1d6. Your pilot, how that great piloting check is going to take some of the randomness out of this.
Woo woo.
All right.
Ooh.
So for a good piloting check, there was a -1 to that. So you have set a very efficient course towards Aposte. It is 1 day of drift travel.
Woo.
And I think as you blast off from Absalom Station and head off on your new job, that is where we're going to call the session.
Tarnold signs off saying, "I love
I was
you."
just gonna say he's
Yeah.
just going. Donald, what's he done to you?
It appears that several functions of the ship's integral components and databases have been compromised. It appears
I'll
that
murder him.
that is against company policy. But Tarnold can look away when Tarnold needs to.
I appreciate your understanding, Tom. I like pat the dash as we're spacing off here.
I love you, Arnot.
Look around quickly to see if anyone else in the cockpit can hear that. Oh man! And then not respond probably.
And
'cause
then
he's just uncomfortable with that.
door to the drift
Beautiful.
opens up, you fly inside, and poof, fade to black.
Wonderful.
All
That
right,
was
well,
a blast.
literally.
Hey!
Oh, man, what a party we have here. I am
This should be fun.
worried.
All right. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us on the stream, and we will be back with this again on Tuesday, right? Next Tuesday. Yeah, not the
Or
coming
Tuesday
Tuesday.
after
2
next,
weeks
I
from
think.
now. Yes.
Yes.
Bi-weekly. Yes.
Bi-weekly.
So, yeah, we will see you again. Join us on Thursday for Table 13, and then on Friday for another episode of The Misadventures. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.